the long term issue is getting back to Steve's original point, and that's the defense. So, these situations with Will Howard not getting down in time and Jeremiah Smith pushing off, those can be managed, I would hope, going forward. But if you want to take an optimistic look, I'm going to take this look at it until I see Ohio State play another lousy game on defense like this. And they're not going to play another Oregon in the regular season. Penn State's going to present different, less challenges that if we would have said at any point during the offseason, anyone that understands college football and follows these teams, okay, hardly anyone gets predicted to go 12-0. So your elite teams in the nation go 11-1. Ohio State's in that category. 98% of the people out there thought Ohio State was going to go 11-1. Okay, what's the highest probability loss? Myself and everybody else generally said the Oregon game on the road. So if you would have said back in May, Ohio State loses at Oregon 32-31, and they've got the ball in field goal range at the end of the game, and they lose the game on a offensive pass interference call, would people not have said, okay, yeah, that's going to be their loss, and they're going to go 11-1?
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to look at it, that it was understandable, at least, that the way that it came down. Did they beat themselves? Certainly. And is there some debate which team's the better team? Maybe. Oregon played a really good game, though. I think you have to tip your cap to them. Their defense got just enough stops in this game, that one notwithstanding, to keep their team in the game as well. They made Ohio State pretty much earn everything that they got. Whereas Oregon hit all those big plays. And so, I don't know. I'll just say, I think if these two teams are matched up again on a neutral field in Indianapolis, where 60% of the people, 70% of the people are rooting for Ohio State, then I think, it's going to probably go the other direction. I think Ohio State's defense can't play that bad two times in a row against Oregon. I don't think there's a team on the schedule the rest of the way, Penn State potentially, that is going to put up 30 points against this team. Penn State, listening to them against USC, it was a struggle for the longest time for them, and then it finally broke through in the second half and put some drives together. But that's, of course, you can't really overlook Nebraska. Here's Nebraska's got, a big game this Saturday against Indiana. What is it, 5-1 versus 6-0? That's who in their right mind would have thought that was a possibility?
Big noon,
big noon, big Kev Saturday, and Nebraska. Let's say they win that one, take down an undefeated team in Indiana, and now they're coming to Columbus with all the momentum in the world. And, we'll see what if Ohio State has a hangover from this. To me, that would be terrible to see if they come out in the next game and they don't have their heads right after a 2-week layoff. They've got to go back to the drawing board Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week and really get some good work days in, and then start back in on Sunday with their regular work week. And, the coaches are out on the road recruiting. They'll be at high school games this Friday, obviously, recruiting some of the top prospects in the country. And, they've got to come up with some answers. I think offensively you're on the right track. Got to get that left tackle situation figured out. Got to be able to run the ball when you want to run the ball. But I think Will Howard came through this one generally. He played great, but he also had those 3 mistakes that you're just kind of like, just doggone it. Fumbled a snap on 3rd and 3 from the, when they just gotten off their goal line, and they had to punt the ball away. And when they punted it away, Oregon took over on its own 40, and hit, 2-3 plays, and they're in the end zone. That was the one with the 27-yard run by the quarterback to start the fourth quarter, where they took the lead. And it just you can't have that. I mean, it was a perfect snap from Seth McLaughlin, and you can't have that. He slipped and fell down on the first play of the final drive. Yes, he had 2 passes after that, and got the first down and got him moving. But that was 30 seconds that they wasted, to re-pick up that 20 yards that they had to get. So, it was. I'd give him, I wanted to give him an A-, or but now I'm thinking about it, probably a B+ for him. But at least we know that he's capable, and that's he's capable of making the plays. Agbuka, man, he had a great game. Jeremiah Smith had a great game up until that last play. So, and G. Scott had one of his best games at tight end, had a big catch. So there's plenty to like out of this. It's just offense has got to get those couple things, the line and the running game figured out, and the defense, it's back to the drawing board for me. I'm trying not to swear. Some of the things that they called, I mean, in the videos that are out there on the internet, where they bring 2 linebackers, drop the 4 defensive linemen into coverage, and yet the wide receiver runs unfettered right around Denzel Burke for like a 40-yard touchdown. That was a backbreaker. That just, that can't happen. And God only knows what that call was. I have no clue. We're going to bring 2 guys, and you're going to have all day to throw it. So, two guys against a 5-man offensive line. Here we come.
So you're taking us where we need to go, Steve. And by the way, I've got other shows where I'm calling the guys saying, can you tone down the F word a little bit? So you're free, hey, we run a clean show here. So Steve, if you want to throw a few out there, I'm good with that. Don't worry about that.
Trying to restrain myself. I don't know.
So Tony Meek is hitting on
I don't want my blood pressure to go too high.
So Tony Meek we don't either. Tony Meek is hitting on something that I wanted to hit on, because Steve, again, hit it right off the top. Secondary and pass rush. Those are the takeaways from this game, that these need to be fixed to some degree. There's too much talent out there. So this is something I see all day watching college football. Exotic blitzes. And do you get burned at times? You do get burned. But I see things where once they show the replay, it's like, wow, that was creative. This fooled this dude. This linebacker was athletic enough, and his D coordinator knew that he could drop that far, and boom, he's picking off Drew Aller got fooled a couple times into picks because DeAnton Lynn threw a blitz package at him that obviously fooled him, and he didn't expect somebody to be somewhere. It just doesn't seem like Jim Knowles has that in his repertoire.
Well, and some of the stuff Steve's talking about there, those kind of zone blitzes, that, I mean, there is blitzing, but even the extra blitzing, they just don't get home. They're coming from too far away. Like you see a safety come screaming in, and it's like, well, that's never going to get there. He's going to get the ball out well before anybody gets there. And they did a good job of picking up the blitzing. I just think the blitzing is relatively ineffective in general this year for Ohio State, and needs to pick up in terms of the pass blitzing. Some of the run blitzing stuff has been good, but getting to the quarterback has been an issue. And from something that I was told, the defensive ends are basically being asked to do a very basic thing, at least against Oregon, and keep contained more often than not, even though they several times just tore past the quarterback, like well beyond the quarterback, while Gabriel was able to step up. I expected more from the interior of the defensive line in terms of the pass rush and controlling the line of scrimmage, and that didn't happen. And not to I do want to go back to the offensive line. Ohio State, outside of the 2 rushes back to back for 70 yards for Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins averaged 2 yards a carry for the entire game. The second half, Ohio State rushed for 19 yards on 12 attempts. Now they only had 2 possessions in the fourth quarter, and they only had 4 possessions in the second half total. But they have to be able to run the ball better. I was surprised that they weren't able to run the ball. I think that is a concerning thing. And then with the offensive line, And I said this after the game. I've said this on Twitter or somewhere on our message board. But when Simmons was down, Luke Montgomery immediately went into the game, went into the huddle, and he stood at left guard, and Donovan Jackson stood at left tackle. And then before the play, Zen Michalski went in, and Luke Montgomery came out. Donovan Jackson went back to left guard. Michalski stood at left tackle. So I'm wondering if they're going to give Donovan Jackson a look at tackle this next week or so. They're going to go with their 5 best, and right now, I think that means Austin Searveld's in the lineup somewhere. So you've just got to figure out where those guys all fit, and they've got options. They also have Carson Hinsman, who could maybe fit in somewhere on the interior, but you're still going to be kicking it out.
Buckeye.
Yeah, you're still going to be kicking out a guard to tackle somewhere in this.
You got options.
And Tegra Shabola is okay. He did come back into the game.
Yes,
he played.
Did.
He's going to have time off to get fully ready. So I expect he'll be okay.